Okay, so condo conversation, finally back in my condo. So it's funny, I moved and I've been having condo conversations in different places, but I'm letting y'all into my house today. So welcome. Today, we have a very special episode with Dr. Ashley White.
Hello. Thank you for having me.
So I had messaged Dr. White about my own issues, and I kind of went through the list and I was like, who do I feel a connection with? And I don't know, for some reason I just saw your face and I was like, connection with you. So give the viewers a little idea about who you are, where you're from, and what you do now in Louisville.
Yeah. So, my name's Ashley Hicks White, and I'm a marriage and family therapist in Louisville. I'm originally from Akron, Ohio, and then I lived in Columbus, Ohio for about 11 years before we moved to Louisville. So I came here to work. I work at Louisville Presbyterian Seminary. I teach people how to become therapists in the master's program there. And then I have a small private practice 2 days a week here in Louisville.
That is awesome. So I have a lot of friends. I have a lot of married friends, and I've always been around people who were married, I guess, you know, working in retail as long as I had, and in a professional setting. And it just seemed like so many people had marriages that were like topsy-turvy, crazy, you know, and you know, sometimes people embellish.
Yeah.
But I often wonder like what's really going on. And then I got married, and I was like, okay, so it's easy on some days, hard on some days. So I wanted to bring you here. Sure. I have my handy dandy questions. So I wanted to bring you here so we can actually discuss a few things, you know, and just get some advice, or you could just talk about, you know, how you see the issues.
Yeah.
As a doctor, as a professional, because even though I want to be like, girls, what you should do is get rid of him. I am not a therapist. I'm not a doctor, even though I think I am. So there's always misconceptions in relationships about, especially if you have kids, and I don't have kids, so it's one of the things that I'm always asking people about, because I want to make sure before I jump into the situation that I'm getting all the information that I need, because it's not easy.
Yeah.
So, in a relationship, who should come first in the order of child versus spouse?
Okay. So I always like to tell folks I don't have kids either, so my thoughts are based on my training, my experience, but not on my personal lived experience. But what they teach us, what they train us, and what I think works well with the people I serve is that you want your spouse to come before your children. Part of that is your children need a happy, healthy environment, and so if you're neglecting your spouse consistently, your children aren't going to get that, and so they need to have a safe space, kind of a good holding environment to grow up in. You also are modeling to them what love relationships look like, and so if they see you constantly neglecting your partner because of them, one, they may become entitled, spoiled, whatever you want to call it. But also that doesn't really set them up for success to like do that in future relationships on their own.
So they become spoiled because let's just say the mom is putting so much into the kids, and they're neglecting the husband that they give all their kids whatever they want, and that's how they're spoiling them?
Yes, it can happen that way, right? So if I'm a child and I know that mom will do whatever I want, and not care as much about dad, then I use that to manipulate the situation to get things I want. It's not always the case, but it does happen.
Are kids smart enough to do that?
Yeah, kids are so smart. So I don't think kids always do it like they're not born trying to like manipulate us. But they're smart, and they pick up on things, and they pick up on things we don't even think they know, and they come with their I like to think of it as undiluted wisdom that's just in them. Wow. And so they're able to pick up on stuff, and so we teach and train them things, and then they're like, oh, if this is how the system works, let me work the system.
Wow. I mean, I guess I never thought about that, but that makes a lot of sense. See, look at you already. Okay, so let's jump into another subject that I feel has been very close to my heart this year because of Beyonce. Oh, Beyonce. She's in my everyday life. So I think that a lot of people were shocked to find out, or maybe this was last year, that Jay had cheated on B. You know, thank you. So And I feel like now that kind of gives the green light for a lot of women to stay in relationships when men cheat. So if that's the case, what do you do if someone cheats, and how do you get back on that good footing in your relationship if you know that your spouse has cheated? Because I don't know what Beyonce's doing right now. I worry about my girl.
You're like, what's happening?
What's happening?
Yeah. So cheating, infidelity, that's a hard topic.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just hard because it's betrayal, right?
Right.
And what happens is trust is broken. So I think the first thing is figuring out, do you want to stay in the relationship?
And it's good to say that, because a lot of women will stay if they have kids because they have kids.
Yeah.
And is that a good or bad thing to stay in the relationship for the children if that person has been cheating?
Yeah. So I think you may need to make a decision about if you want to stay in the relationship based on if you want to stay. If you feel like this is something you can get over, work through, and if your partner, the person who has cheated, is willing to take accountability and wants to move forward and not continue to engage in this behavior.
Right.
Just staying for the sake of the kids. Again, children, even though they can't always know everything, they feel things, they sense things. So if your marriage is unhappy, and you're just staying for the kids, it probably is better to do what's best for you, and then that will trickle down and influence the children. Doesn't mean it won't be difficult to move on. It doesn't mean it won't be hard on the children, but then there are ways to address that. So I think if you're trying to stay in a relationship after there's been infidelity, then the decision has to come from, do I want this relationship? Do I feel like I can move past this? Am I and my partner willing to do the work it's going to take to move past it? So people definitely recover from cheating. It's not impossible.
Okay.
But you can't recover from cheating if the person's still cheating. So you also have to be willing to say, okay, we want to invest in this relationship and move forward in a different way.
Okay. So in a relationship where there is infidelity, and let's just say mom and it's dad who cheated, and mom is scorned and she's stomping around the house, getting mad, I'm visualizing like Beyonce, like throwing dishes against the wall and
swinging little sluggers.
Thank you. Right. And baby Blue is just like, Mom and Dad, stop. Do you think that it's important for the kids who see this craziness in the household to also have therapy?
I think it can be helpful. I mean, anytime there's chaos in the house, you want to be able to have people have an outlet to be able to talk about and get support. So I think it can be helpful. Family therapy could be beneficial to talk about what's going on.
Does that include the kids?
Yes, that can include the kids. Now, if we're doing couples work and we're talking about the affair, we want to do that separate from the kids.
Okay.
But if we're talking about what is the house like, how do we argue, how do we communicate, what does our everyday walking around life look like? Yeah. And we need to work on that can be the whole family. Right. It doesn't just need to be the parents.
And that to me is like the scariest thing as a non-mom is I can see stuff and I'll be like, oh man, your child just saw that. Like, that just... Come here, little Timmy. Your mom is not crazy. It's okay. But it's like, I can't fix. It's not my place. I can't fix it. Sure. But you definitely see things. I was at the. I put this story on Facebook. The screen's crooked, and I saw this man, and he was yelling, and I mean top of his vocal cords, yelling at his wife or girlfriend, and they had their kids with them. And I remember his son locking eyes with me across the aisle, and I just wanted to just run over there and just give him the biggest hug because he was just embarrassed and mad, and I didn't know if he was mad at his mom for taking it or mad at his dad for doing it, but he had the little tears in his eyes, and he had to be at least 12 or 13. Okay. And I was just like, do you realize what you just did to your son? And no telling what's happening at home. Right. So when you see stuff out in public, what do you think the proper protocol should be? Because people call me a pink ranger because I feel like I'll just jump in and I'll be like, stop. Like, I actually got out of my car one time and my brother was so mad at me. Me and him were out shopping and I got out of the car and I was like, don't talk to your kids that way. And like she was smacking her babies and all kinds of stuff. And, they cussed me out, rightfully so. But I don't know what to do. What should people do when they see crazy stuff out in public?
Yeah. So I think right, you want to assess for safety, right? So as a therapist, I'm a mandatory reporter, and I believe in Kentucky, all adults are mandatory reporters.
Oh, good to know. Mandatory reporter.
So if it's a question about safety, like abuse, if the child is being hit or dragged or anything of that nature, you can call the appropriate authorities. You can call 911, you can call CPS. Sometimes, though, you also can step in kind of like, hey, is everything okay? I've done that before.
Oh, have you? How'd that go? Tell me.
Yeah, just, it was fine. People will say, yeah, everything's fine, or they'll say no, or they'll cuss you out.
Can you see on their faces, as someone who's trained in this area, can you look at someone and kind of see distress?
I mean,
because I feel like I can.
Yeah, I feel like, yeah. I think sometimes it's like, if the situation is happening where there's violence, right, sometimes you can intervene. I'm not saying jump in the middle of a fight, but just check in and see if people are okay. Yeah. Or if they need anything. Yeah. But it is it's a hard line, right? You don't want to be too involved in people's situations. Mm-hmm. You can't tell people how to parent their children, so their children aren't in danger and they're just yelling. Yeah. Even though we know that's not necessarily the best way.
Because yelling is detrimental, because isn't that a form of mental abuse?
So yeah, if you're overly aggressive, yes, it can impact children's emotional state and well-being. Yeah. I think it usually is about the pattern. So if you raise your voice once, right, I'm not going to say, oh, that's emotional abuse. Everyone raises their voice. Right. But if it's a pattern. So sometimes we're seeing a glimpse of something when we're out and we don't know everything. Yeah. So it's hard to make, we don't want to jump to conclusions. Right. But it is important. I think, especially too, depending on where you are, if you feel like you can have a conversation or connection, I think sometimes it's about discernment. Does it feel like they're receptive? Right. If I come in and they go off, am I willing to take the risk of, oh, they went off and that's okay. At least I tried. Yeah. Right. But I always say trying to come in with compassion and empathy and not judgment, because people know that. Like when you walk into somebody's space and you're like, what are you doing? You're being horrible. This isn't okay. Mm-hmm. They immediately get on the defensive. Mm-hmm. So if you're coming in more with compassion, is everything okay? Is there anything you need? Can I be of help? I couldn't help but over here. And is everything, that feels, hopefully it's more genuine, but also it helps us not like raise the walls that we tend to raise. Gotcha. Because nobody wants to be embarrassed in public by someone else. Oh my gosh. Yeah. So.
And I feel like a lot of times kids are embarrassed when they see, when people can see what's going on. It's almost like we're looking on the inside of their lives, and you're like, oh, that's bad. And
I mean, our parents can embarrass us
all the time.
It doesn't have to be anything bad. So, if it is something going on, that can be embarrassing for sure.
I mean, I feel like there's so many things that you have to keep intact as a parent. Yeah. But I think the number one thing should always be your own personal sanity.
Yeah, it's hard to take care of other people. It's hard to be in any kind of relationship if you're not well, if you're not taking care of yourself. And sometimes parents pour out and pour out and pour out, and then they don't have anything filling them up or giving them life, and so it's like, it's hard,
Yeah. When you say pouring out, you mean giving to other people your emotions, your money, your time,
your energy, and
and then you're not getting refilled, and you're not getting anything in return. Yeah, and you're not feeding yourself.
Yeah, and if you've never had the time to process whatever your history is, whatever your experiences are.
Amen, sister. Amen.
And carrying that with you, trying to be, trying to genuinely meet other people or serve other people. You have all this stuff going on. Yeah, it's going to come out, and usually it doesn't come out in healthy ways. And so we have to do that work. We have to work on ourselves.
And how do you get to a place where you should work on yourself? Because I have met so many people, and no one is dealing with their past. And I sometimes can be aggressive, like especially after a therapy session. I'll come out like ready to fight and help everybody, but it's like, okay, so I'm looking at you right now and you're wondering why you're single, and I see anger. You know,
Yeah.
I see like the biggest wall, and you're unable to break that wall down because you have all this baggage and all this luggage that you're bringing around from mommy issues, daddy issues, grandma issues, brother issues, sister issues, and then you think you want to get in a relationship. Well, let me tell you, sis, it's not going to get any better.
No.
And you know that phrase that people say, when I got into the relationship, things got worse? I feel like the reason why they get worse is because the person who just jumped into that relationship didn't deal with their mess. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think, you know, one
That's
thing...
what happened to me.
I
speak from experience.
I can relate. I'm in a relationship, and my husband is great, and I had a lot of stuff I worked on before, and I had a lot of stuff that I didn't realize I hadn't worked on before. And even now, you know, and I'm like, I need to keep working. And I think...
And that's true.
What relationships do, I think, right? You know, I always say we are supposed to see people, like you're supposed to be seen and see your partner. And it's like, it's this incubator that says like, are you gonna grow? Are you gonna change? Are you gonna level up? Right? Are you gonna, are you gonna stay the same? And it's hard to do. All of that history comes up, and we just say, oh, and then sometimes we don't have the insight to say, oh, this is why this is happening.
Right.
You know.
And how do you get there?
I think the biggest
Because, you know, some
thing-
people, what I'm finding is that people in their 50s and 60s have never been there.
No.
And it's coming out now.
Yeah.
And it's scary.
It is.
And it's frequent.
It does come out. How do you get there? Well, one, I think a big thing is, well, I will say there are a lot of systemic factors that impact why people kind of close themselves off and hold a lot of stuff in. So I think for Black people, there's a lot that has to do with our history and racism and things of that nature, where we were taught, you know, the things that happen in the house stay in the house.
Amen.
And you don't share.
Absolutely.
You know, you were taught that you just need to be strong and overcome. And
100%.
you know, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So I don't need to address this because it just gives you strength.
Right.
And yeah, you know, you can be really strong. You can overcome a lot or have endured a lot and be really struggling, right?
Right.
So I think some of it is just admitting to yourself, like, I'm not happy. And I think that's scary. Yeah.
That's very scary.
It's about telling the truth, right? I say this and I'm like, oh Lord, I'm speaking to myself. But it really is. It's about admitting the truth. Like we like
the truth is hard.
It's really
and it's
hard.
ugly sometimes.
It's hard. We I think part of what happens is we're willing to settle for the substance of a relationship or the substance of a reality, or I'm sorry, the form of a relationship or the form of a reality versus the substance, right? So if you get in a relationship, you're saying like, I have this relationship, right? This is, again, speaking to me, I have this relationship, but you don't want to necessarily do the work to have the substance or the quality, right? Because we learn, our world teaches us, our families teach us how to pretend, right?
Absolutely.
So you pretend like your family is great. You pretend like everything is okay and you don't have, it's fantasy, it's illusion. And so if we're so used to living in that, we have to take a step back and tell the truth of like, I'm not really happy here. I think that's the biggest thing. Something is going on. And I work with, you know, by the time people come to my office and they want to talk to me, there's something going on that they're not happy about.
Right.
And usually we get to something that's a little deeper than what they first came in about, right? But
absolutely.
I think the first thing is that discomfort or not being settled or wanting something to be different. I think that's kind of how you kind of get to like crack the door open.
Yeah. And it's funny that you say that, because I remember with some of my first therapy sessions actually happened when I was in college, and I just didn't feel right. Yeah. And so I went and I went to the school therapist. You know, they have a whole, you know, wing
counseling center,
whole counseling center. And I was talking about how I didn't have a boyfriend and how I couldn't get a man and whatever. And instead of the therapist saying, you know, what I thought she should say, like, oh, all you have to do is this, because in my mind that's how it worked. Yeah. She said, what are your dad's and your brother's relationships like with women? Yeah. And I was like, here we go, talking about them again. Like, to me, it was like, it was about me. Yeah. But what I had to connect in my brain was that all those examples that I had been seeing was reflecting on me and reflecting on how I see relationships. And I was just like, oh, all right. And that took me about 10 years to figure out. And I'm still trying to figure it out. But it's really difficult. And you're right. I never even thought about like how people put on this facade of I'm okay, my life is perfect, everything's okay. But that's how we were raised to believe. Like that idea of make-believe and fantasy. Like so big.
And it's not even right. I think when children are young, they have a genuine imagination. Like, I think of it as creative imagination, right? I can see vision. I can think about what isn't and kind of bring that into being. I can manifest in my mind. We're not taught to do that. What we're taught is like, we're taught to lie.
Straight up.
We're just taught to lie. And so they take, I think, what we are born with, which is our imagination and our intuition, and, right? And they say, you know, don't tell the truth, lie, and then pretend in this way, and that's what doesn't serve us.
You know what? You are even touching on something like we do that in our workplaces too. We have to pretend. You can't cry. You can't show emotion. You can't be real. You have to kiss up. You have to, wow. So that's the whole...
It's like, it's across the gamut. So I think it starts in our families, but our society is built around it, right?
And social media has done nothing but magnify it, because I promise you, it is crazy to me to talk to my friends or talk to people and then see their Instagram pages and be like, girl, stop lying. You know, I'm going to click yes because I like you, but you are lying to all of us. But that's interesting. Right. Getting back to Jay-Z and Beyonce, because I'm not over their relationship. I'm not over Sean.
You're not with the new album. And
I love it.
It's beautiful.
But I want to see, I need to hear an interview. I've heard him talk. And I feel like it's somewhat easy for a cheating man to admit his faults. But as someone who accepts the man back, as powerful as Beyonce, and I'm sorry guys, I'm not gonna let this go. Someone as powerful as Beyonce who can get any man she wants. You know, Idris is not married yet. She can go off and make that work, snatch it right back up. Jessica Biel and Justin Timberlake can break up and she can get with Justin or whoever she wants. Why did she stay? And that's what that keeps me up at night. Because to me, as someone who looks up, she's my age, you know, strong, had the babies, went back to work, got that snapback body, and I'm looking at her like, yes, sis, yes. But so you gonna keep this one though? What was it about him that made you want to keep him? That's always the question to me in a relationship where a woman gets cheated on, why she brings the guy back. Because when I see that, I'm like, oh, she has issues.
So you think it feels like there's something going on with her.
Yes.
She couldn't let go. What if that's what she wanted? And what if she said, we don't do the work to deal with it? I work with couples and know couples when people cheat and they want to stay. They want to work it out. It's hard. I'm not saying it's not. But
I just hope she didn't do it for the kids. As a strong feminist, I'm like, you better not.
She said me and my baby gonna be all right. We're gonna have a good life.
She did say that.
That made me feel like
you better quote it.
She was all right. She was like, listen,
we gonna have a good life. You only want me when she's not there. Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay. But so you know,
because
I don't know the ins and outs.
But I just don't want like my little cousins who are to be like, yes, Beyonce, I love her. Oh wait, if he cheats, I'll take him back. I'm like, oh no, sweetie, come back over here. That's not what we do. But then do we? That's where
and I think too is figuring out,
because I don't. Oh, sorry.
To make it clear.
To make it completely clear. Anyway, sorry, I get off in a rant, but I'm serious though. Like it's about that message, because I feel like a lot of kids don't choose their parents to look up to for whatever reason, and they should. I feel like mommy and daddy should be like the idols in your child's life. That's just the way I feel. But then a lot of kids are choosing pop stars, social media stars, celebrities of all kinds to look up to, but then all these people are getting butt implants and lip injections and hair color and wigs, and we got brows now, and it's like, look at it for entertainment. Yeah. But what's real life?
Right.
I'm not gonna start talking about Jay-Z and Beyonce anymore. Okay, so we talked about who comes first. Yeah. So a lot of times also, you have situations where women, I see this a lot, and men too, because even when I was growing up, my dad wanted my brother to play every sport that he played. Oh, my earring. Oh. Unfortunately, look, fumble. It's unfortunately, it's, you know, she's cute. Thank you. But unfortunately, my brother didn't take to sports as he did to like DJ and electronics like my dad does. So I see now, though, a lot of mothers wanting their daughters to be in things that maybe they wish they could have done. Yeah. Let's talk about living through your children. Okay. Yeah. Is there a proper way to do it? Has Dance Moms really taken us to a different level of life?
So,
because that's really,
is there a proper way? I would say no.
Should you do it?
You shouldn't live. You should allow your child to live their own life, and you live yours. And I think sometimes what happens is people stop living their own life and then project all the things they wanted for their life onto their children, forgetting they still have life left to live. So, like, what better way to help model to your children how to pursue their dreams and passions, if you can, or at least own them.
Speak on it.
Than to share them, right, with your children. And also, like, cultivating them. It's okay to say, oh, I dance and I want to see if you like dancing, but if you know, oh, my kid hates that, or one, you have to step back to see, do they like it, or am I just super geek to be here?
Right.
And like, really trying to cultivate, what do they like? Like, give them options if you have it, right? Everyone doesn't have options, but
yeah, that's true.
So that's one thing, but it's like, they don't have to be a mini me. Like,
and that's hard for me.
Yeah, it's hard because you're like, oh, I got this child. I want them to be in that
fashion and dance.
Yeah, but what if they don't like it? And I think that's the one thing that we sometimes forget. Like, we don't get to choose who our children are. They get to come through us, but we don't get to choose who they are, who they're meant to be. So it's like, share it. Maybe it's something you could do together. Maybe it's something they like, or sometimes they always want to do it. But it's like, if that's the only thing you can see for them is because it's what you want, then there's an issue. It's like,
and do you think the kids would vocalize whether or not they like doing something to their parents if they know that their parents want them to do that so bad?
I think it'll be harder for them. I think they might vocalize it, maybe not to the mom or dad, but to someone else. I think part of it is like creating an environment where they can. So it's like, you can be really excited, but like, can you ask, hey, do you like this? Did you have fun at football today? Yeah. Do you want to go back? You know? Yeah. And if they don't, you can be disappointed, right? It's okay. But like, don't yell and shout and pout, and then because kids want to please their parents.
Exactly.
So it's like allowing them to have some space to say if they like it or not. Sometimes they're really little, they won't know. They like running around, they like doing whatever is new. But other times they genuinely don't like it. It's okay.
Do you see that a lot? That parents are usually like, oh, I wanted them to be a such and such graduate like me, and they ended up going to this school, or you see kids who have gotten to a certain age and they were like, I never wanted to do that anyway, but you made me do it. We watch too many movies.
I see it in different ways. Like, sometimes kids, they do things to please their parents, and then they don't realize, oh, I didn't really like that until they're in college, and then they come talk to me about, oh, I wish I would have tried this thing, or
see, that's the thing.
Because we learn our role really quick, right? And so it's like, if that's the role they learn to play, right? So I think it's about like, and it's never too late, right? Like, if you have your kids and stuff, or you're trying to put all this on there, you can always fall back a little and say, what would you like to do? Or what do you want to try? Or, you know, it's not too late just because you're already in that space.
And I feel like nowadays kids are in more activities than I feel like they want to be. I mean, because I really didn't, I mean, I did a little bit of activities, but nowadays I'm like, I look at my friends like, are y'all ever going to sleep? Because y'all taking Becky Lou to here, there, and all over the square. But it's like, and then they're like, we don't get home until 8. I'm like, well, who signed up for these things?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like on another level now, and it's expensive.
It is expensive.
And if I have to have a choice between my Louis Vuitton bag and my child being in dance, and my child really doesn't want to dance, I'm getting that bag, and she can go play outside.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure there's free.
Play outside.
Right, and she's really not into this. Why am I going to take my good coins? No, I'm not.
It's important.
But I don't know how to recognize that kind of stuff. So that's why I'm sitting up here with no children. I have questions and thoughts because I'm telling you, to me, when I look at being a parent, I had really young parents. And so the message was clear. Don't have kids.
Okay.
And not only was the message clear, but like observing them, the message was clear. Like, this is hard. This is hard on many levels.
Yeah.
So I never wanted to have kids because I looked at mom and dad and I was like, dang, they got to sacrifice all this and mom got to sacrifice all that. And, you know, they're young. For the longest time, I don't know why I thought my mom was 27, probably until she was like 40. Because I just, in my mind, you know, I was a kid. I'm like, my mom was 27. I'm sure people probably thought I was crazy when I said it. But I mean, I just perpetually look at her as a young woman, you know, because she was so young.
She was young.
And I feel like I feel bad because I feel like she didn't get to have a childhood and dad didn't get to do everything that he wanted to do because they had kids. And so I always said, I'm going to live my life. And if it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Okay. And that's kind of the role that I've taken on. And then I got over 35 and then it became really real that, you know, my doctor started to have conversations with me and, okay, Kristy, what are we thinking? And I was like, whoa, what time is it, girl? Is my appointment over yet? So but I just have so many questions and fears, you know, and it's hard.
It is.
I mean, whenever someone makes, and I guess I think too much about it because I'm not going to just jump into it. Like, I have to have it has to be planned. Yeah. Because I'm a planner, as my mom would say. But I don't know how people decide that they're going to have kids. Yeah. You know, because I see so many people who have like 45 kids, and I'm like, 45. You weren't thinking, were you? But is that also part of the cycle?
I think some people do plan to have children. I think some people don't. And they say, well, if we have children, we have them. And then I think some people,
the way my bank account is set up,
you know, don't do either of those, and just life happens, and they continue to have children. But some of it can be generational. It's like if grandma had all the kids and mom had all the kids, and that's what you do. You have all the kids. I have people in my own life whose family, you know, they're in their mid-30s and their family like, why don't you have no kids? What's wrong with you? X, Y, Z. It's the expectation. Wow. You should have children.
Why don't you have kids? I feel like that's the rudest question. Like, especially the way they say it.
It's pretty
Why don't
rude.
you have kids?
It's pretty rude.
Why do you have so many?
But it's an expectation. You know, I used to work in middle school with young people, and they would come like, Miss Ashley, do you have kids? Why don't you have kids? You're old enough. How old are you? You're old enough. So, right, if my sister has kids and my mom has kids and everybody in the neighborhood has kids, then the expectation is when you reach a certain age, that's what you do. You have children. So, you know, some people are planning, like actively planning. Other people are allowing life to happen. And, you know, when our young people think that you're 25, you should have kids, then, you know.
25? Girl was still in college.
Me too.
Shaking it down. Dropping it low. Picking it up a little slower.
You know. It changes. You can't get back up as quick as you could before.
Okay, yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay, so with that, one of the things I think we talked about on the phone was like, you know, African Americans, black folk, we have a different, I can't generalize. I don't want to do that. People who follow religion across the board, they have a different expectation of advice, therapy, this, that, and the third. And I know that there's, especially in your mega churches, you'll have men's group and a weekend to get away and do a thing and true love waits and all of the things and women's group. How effective, okay, I guess it's a comparison. What's more effective for your mental brain, for your brain development, I should say, therapy, like a board certified therapist, or like I'm having marital issues, let me go speak to my priest or to my pastor or to my reverend or to my bishop or to my deacon?
Yeah.
Because that don't. Okay.
So I'm in an interesting position. So I told you I teach at Louisville Presbyterian.
And that's why you're sitting here.
And I train people in the master's program who want to be therapists, but I also get to teach people in the MDiv program and Master's of Arts and Religion, and who want to go into chaplaincy, or they want to go into the pastorate, they want to do ministry in church congregations or communities. So I get a little bit of all of it, and I think the big difference is thinking about, like, what's your lane, I think, is the big piece, right? That's important. So I work with people, see people, teach students who, when you have an issue in your relationship, you're going to go to your pastor or your priest, and they're going to do some pastoral care, or they're going to do some couples counseling.
What's that word?
So pastoral care is the idea that you can get some, like, emotional, spiritual support about distressing items from a faith perspective, from the person, from whatever your religious tradition. Okay. So they'll go to their pastors. They were having issues. Pastor might meet with them 2-3 times and say, talk to me about what's going on. Have you thought about these things? And then usually there's a point where most people say, okay, this is a little bit too much. Let me refer.
Okay, good.
So
that makes me feel better.
Yeah. Not everywhere, but at least
that's a good practice.
Yeah, what we teach is big about what is in my scope of practice. If we have couples ministry, what does that look like? If we have women's group, support group, what does that look like? But then when is this kind of above and beyond? When do I need to refer? So if we're thinking about things like mental illness, like depression or anxiety or, anything like that. Yeah, self-harm, suicidal ideation. It's like, okay, let's refer to a professional who can give you some support in a different way and who is trained to do that. So I think spiritual care, spiritual guidance is great. And I think it's just important to know the lane. Sometimes you, just the same way that, people can come to me, and if they want to talk about issues of spirituality, I do that, and we talk about that. But, you might be able to have a conversation with your pastor that is different from the one you have with me, and that's perfectly okay. So I think it's just knowing what each is for and how each could be beneficial. My only concern is when we do, because we like extremes and binaries in our world. And so when we do the thing like, oh, well, I just pray away that depression and I won't go talk to anybody. That's my concern. So I'll never say to someone,
because you know how we are.
Like, yes, you should pray and you should seek care, but also, like, it wouldn't hurt to go to a therapist.
So it has to be, or it can be, a combination of
yes, it can be
the
both
two.
And
not only that, the person who is seeking the care should know, or maybe tap into that idea that, okay, I've done this, now it's time to do this, to go get the medical care or
get some additional
clinical
services,
care.
Clinical care,
And then even the pastor, reverend, bishop, deacon, whoever, they need to also be mindful of the fact that they can give this spirituality advice, whatever, but at the same time, they don't have all the mental health information.
Yeah.
Because why would they?
Yeah.
I mean, if they didn't, if you didn't study that, I mean, I can't teach someone how to cook if I went to fashion school.
Right.
That's not my lane.
Yeah.
Even though I wish I could teach. But I mean, I think that that's good to know, because I guess in my mind, I was thinking you either have to do one or the other, but the idea is that you can have all of it.
You can do both. I know some people, some faith traditions don't necessarily value mental health services, therapy.
Why is
that's
that?
The case. For some people, it's about faith. If I go to two things. One is like psychology and mental health aren't real things. So there's a camp of people who hold that view that, mental health, mental illness, and those aren't real realities in the world, so you don't need to go address them. Other people, though, are that, the type of care we provide is perhaps too secular. It's not rooted in faith, so it's like, by saying I'm going to go to therapy or I'm going to go to a psychiatrist and get on medication, then I'm saying I don't believe in God, or I don't believe in the higher power, and I don't have enough faith. So there is still some stigma connected to that we have to wade through. And
because you can have everything.
I think you can.
I mean, I feel like
I think
feel
you can
like
be a person of faith and also receive mental health care.
Because I could pray for clarity,
Mm-hmm.
and that what might come to me will be, well, you need to go speak to this person, and that will help you with that clarity that you've been praying about.
Yeah.
But that's how I would see it.
Yeah.
I mean
that's how I see it, but everyone doesn't. So I get the,
because it's hard for me.
concern.
It's hard for me to think that if I was depressed or if I was in a relationship and I was bringing my negative stuff to that relationship, the stuff that's been laying underneath, that's bubbling up because I'm being faced with different challenges in my relationship.
Sure.
It would be hard for me to think that I can go to somebody's reverend and have him talk me through that. Because I'd be like, well, what are you talking about? You know, I'm probably, that's the way I think of it, you know? I mean, I'd be like, do I need to put my money in my collection plate now or later? No. Sorry. I have things.
Sure.
I have thoughts.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's something that,
and it depends about where they're trained, what their training is, you know.
and you should ask all those questions prior to sitting in anybody's chair, laying on anybody's couch.
Well, anybody. Yeah. So if you're coming to see me, you definitely.
Because I definitely did my research.
Yeah.
I mean, you know.
It's important.
It is.
Because you all, regardless of who you're talking to, you need to feel comfortable and feel a connection.
Yeah.
So I tell people all the time, you know, if you come sit with me and want to talk to me, and halfway through you're like, I don't like you, or 3 weeks in you're like, like, just tell me. I won't be upset. We'll find you somebody.
I've done
Because that's a big deal. It's a big
It's a
thing.
huge
And
deal.
I'm not going to be personally offended because I have a therapist too. And I need to like her so that I can be honest with her.
Yeah.
So,
How did therapy get to be such a dirty word?
oh Lord, though, that's a big question. Well,
Because people are messed up.
Yeah, I think part of it has to do with our stigma around mental health and mental illness. I think also part of it is like historically in our country, therapy, if we go way back to like Freud, he was doing some interesting things to talk about like women and their trauma and saying like, oh, it wasn't real and they're hysterical. So there's stigma around that started. But then therapy also was like, particularly among people of color, it was for well-to-do white folk. And so we didn't go to therapy, and therapy was a privilege and a luxury to talk about your drama.
And we're always perceived as poor.
Yeah, and also therapy, you have to talk, right? And we have learned historically, like we don't communicate well, we don't talk about things. Things are secret and private. A lot of that had to do with
Hope y'all are listening.
history and slavery and learning, like, in order to like live in this world and survive, I have to be deceitful and I can't talk about everything that's going on. So we carry that and we teach our kids that, and I carry that in me, and I'm like, okay, I'm working on that. But so I think part of it has to do with that too. You know, I remember I told my I'll never forget, I was in graduate school for therapy training in my PhD program, and I went to a therapist, and my mom called and said, oh, what are you doing? I said, oh, I'm going to my therapy, and she said, well, what's wrong with you? Are you okay? Why would you do that? Why would you go? And I remember thinking, but I'm, and you know, I'm in school for therapy, right? You know, I'm going to be a therapist. And
Hi,
she's
do
like,
I know you?
Are you okay though? Do you really need? And I just remember being so blown away. But it's real. It's what we're,
absolutely.
Yeah.
I think therapy is the best thing in the galaxy of the world, especially for Black people.
Yeah.
But a lot of times when you tell somebody you're in therapy, that you're right, they're like, what's wrong with you? But I mean, everybody needs a mental health check.
Yeah.
I mean, every person that I know has issues.
Yeah.
No one's
we
okay.
all have our stuff.
And to think that, like, to me, going to therapy is just like going to the lady doctor. It's just like going to get a physical. It's just like eating healthy. It's just like going to the gym. It has to be all in line.
Yeah.
And people neglect that major part, and that's the brain. And then they try to get married, get boyfriends, get girlfriends, step outside their house, and it's all wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, extreme, but...
I mean, I had a student the other day in my class say, well, why don't people just get like an annual mental health checkup like they do with a physical? And
that should be mandatory.
I was like, you're right.
That should be mandatory.
That would be beautiful. That would be wonderful. But
so what do you think about this phrase? And this is something that was taught to me and my husband when we went to our therapy session. The older, the sicker. Right?
Yeah.
Wow.
You know,
Right? Talk on it.
I think part of why that's a phrase is because, right, life is cumulative, right? We're in this process of becoming all the time. And so if we're not dealing, ideally, the older we will be, the wiser and the healthier and the more healed.
That's what they tell us.
But
that is what they tell us.
When we don't deal with our stuff, we're not taught how, we're not taught we're able to. So it just piles on. And it just sits. It sits in our mind, it sits in our body, in our spirit, and it just builds and builds.
You become an old crazy person.
And you just get, right? But then by the time we get older, we're taught that we can do what we want, say what we want, there are no repercussions. So it's like we allow people who are older in years to be
disrespectful.
Yeah, to just do whatever. And
tell
at that
you
point,
you're
it's
fat,
like,
you're big, you're ugly, you're this, change your hair. Oh.
But it's like age doesn't equate to wisdom.
Amen. Say it again, please.
You know,
say one for the people in the back row.
So age doesn't equate to wisdom. Just like we talked earlier about children having kind of this innate wisdom, this unadulterated or unfiltered, like hasn't been contaminated yet. Yes. And that's what's supposed to grow. But that gets stuffed down or masked or whatever, and the stuff that builds and builds is our mess and our hurts and our pain and our...
And then we're told, well, I'm your mother, so I'm right.
Oh, yeah.
I'm your father, so you better listen to me. Yeah. Because the idea is that they know more than you because they're smarter and they're wiser. When in fact, if they haven't dealt with their mess, they may be telling you the wrong thing or leading you in the wrong direction.
Yeah. Yeah.
Again, how can I be a parent when I have these issues?
Well,
being a parent it's a bigger responsibility than I feel like. And it's a more serious responsibility than a lot of people really pay attention to.
Consideration.
Yeah, because it's every step. Like if I, as a potential mother, I feel like I have to be on point every day because I would want my child to be like, my mom did it every day. Yeah. And oh my God, that's what I'm gonna do every day. I'm gonna step out my best. Yeah. You know, and I feel like, but if I'm running around in sweats, like. A lot of moms do just because life is just crazy, which is, you know, it's a thing. Yeah. I'd probably be in yoga pants every day, which would kill me. But, I mean, if they see you in that outfit every day, I mean, what do they take away from that? Right. You know? So it's just like, it's difficult.
I think the thing that we struggle with a lot is balance, right? So allowing yourself to be human. Yeah. Which means you're going to have good days and bad days. Yeah. Allowing your children to see the good and the bad. It doesn't mean you like show them everything, right? But that they can learn I could be a whole person with all of my feelings, all of my emotions. I'm going to have good days and bad days. Mom is like, she's a champion. She takes care of things. She also struggles, right? Because otherwise what they learn is like, I have to always be on. I can never be upset.
So it's about communication.
So we want to
being honest.
It's about being honest. So we want to allow ourselves to be human and live in the fullness of what that means, and then teach our kids how to do it. Which means like we can have great days and wear cute outfits, and we also can have a day where we have to wear yoga pants, and that's okay, you know. And it's
all acceptable.
It's all acceptable because all of who you are is okay.
I wish somebody would have told me that when I was a kid. All of who you are is okay.
Yeah, I mean, I wish.
That is tear worthy
too. But you can tell yourself. And the one thing I'm learning is
not gonna get emotional.
Is that you can tell yourself. You also can tell like little girl Kristy. Like I tell little girl Ashley, like, hey, you're okay. All of you is okay. No one ever told you that, but it's true, right? So, because that's doing your work too. Yeah.
Moving on before I start crying in here. So when you're in a relationship, we're gonna change gears back to the husband and wife. So in a relationship, how can you? My husband is getting close over here. I was like, how do you get your voice heard as two people in a relationship? You know, sometimes you get into it with your spouse, and it is like, do you hear me? Yeah. Because I don't feel heard. Do you think that that's also part of being from how you felt as a child? If you weren't heard as a child, I remember my dad used to always say, And he didn't mean it to be mean,
Yeah.
but, you know, he's my dad. So
Yeah.
he knew if I was on the phone, I was like, you know, 7, 8, 9 years old.
Yeah.
You ain't talking about nothing. Get off the phone. But in my mind, I was like, I'm not talking about anything. Gotta go, bye. My dad said so, you know. But
Yeah.
I think that after a while,
Mm-hmm.
I started to see things like how women's voices were constantly silenced.
Mm-hmm.
And I would see people talking and, oh, be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you ain't saying nothing.
Yeah.
Oh, she's a woman. She don't know what she's talking about. I heard
Yeah.
that a lot growing
Yeah.
up. That was the times.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's like I'll have a conversation with this man right here, husband, and even though he's a very sweet and soft-spoken man, I still sometimes feel like he doesn't hear me.
Yeah.
Not that this is the Christian Luther therapy session or anything, but how do two people in a relationship get there?
Yeah. So when you sent me that question, I was thinking about it. I was like, oh, well, I'll say this because it is what came up first.
Okay.
And first, to have your voice heard, you have to have a voice, and you have to trust it. So if you wanna have your voice heard, you have to have a voice, and you have to trust your own voice. So part of it is like we feel like our voice isn't heard because maybe we don't trust that our voice, what we're saying, is important enough, right? Like we're trying to have external validation of what we think or believe or what we're saying by our partner because we don't really trust that, even if they don't agree, that our voice has weight and merit and value. So I think part of it is just checking in first and saying like, okay, do I believe that my voice matters? Am I always constantly trying to change my voice because of those voices that tried to silence me in the past? Like, you're not saying nothing, or be quiet, or women's voices don't matter. Like, if that's what I've kind of bought into, maybe I need to take a minute and say like, okay, what is my voice? What do I have to say? What do I think about this? What do I feel about this? What do I want to be expressed? If you're already there, great. Then it's just about being able to have like open and honest communication where you're able to communicate what you feel. So like, I feel this way, I think this versus that, you know, what we do, well, you're doing this and you, whatever. It's like, no, talk about you from your own personal place, you know?
Yeah.
So, you know, one of the things I'm working on, and one of the things I've had to work on in my relationship, is just finding my own voice and being able to articulate it. And I see that a lot for women because I think our voices are often silenced. And like you said, even if you have a great, loving partner who is willing to listen to you, if you don't think your voice has weight, then what does it matter?
Right.
Yeah.
Again, it's about making sure that I know who I am and really being in connection with who I am, what my thoughts are, what my purpose is, what I'm trying to say. Is it really speaking true to what I need?
Yeah.
It's a lot about the individual.
Yeah.
Which I guess it should be. A lot of people, I feel like, have created this whole world of it's all about you, it's all about you, it's all about this, it's all about that. But it's really just about me, the way it should be.
You know, I think it's about, right, when you get in a relationship, you know, they talk about you married and you're one. And you're also still two human bodies living in a body, right? So it's like, is there space? Right, there's always you, your partner, and the relationship. So we need to be thinking about the relationship, but we also need to be thinking about what we have, because we don't have our stuff. What we gonna bring to this third entity? Trash. We're gonna bring trash to it, and then we're gonna wonder why it's trash.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's true.
Yeah.
Why do you think so many times, random thoughts, why do you think so many times when people get in when people have kids, it seems like the mother takes on so much more of the responsibility than the man?
I think socialization.
But that is not a set in stone thing. That's something that can be altered and changed, and that man could have just as much responsibility as that woman.
Yeah.
Because I find that like sometimes it's either a control issue, a control issue, a control issue.
Okay.
Because, I mean, I think all the time, I'd probably be pumping all my life just so I can get a good night's sleep. And then I'd let him wake up and he can, you know, do what you got to do to feed the baby and don't bother me. You know, I mean, I mean, there has to be a balance.
Yeah.
I mean, you take a
need to
night,
figure
I
out
take
the
a
balance.
night.
Yeah. Compromise.
Because I think
important.
that the way having a child has been presented to me
Yes.
is that you're going to be so exhausted, you're not going to be able to X, Y, and Z. And I'm like, look, people, I love sleep. I like my time in the morning. I like my coffee. I like to watch my news in the morning.
Sure.
If this little person is going to take away from that, I'm fighting that thing.
Yeah.
No, but I mean, man. Okay, so what I feel like we've talked about a lot is that there's a lot of society things that have fallen into relationships and making sure that these relationships are healthy.
Yeah.
And when I say relationships, I mean the mother, child, husband, wife. All these things have kind of been tainted because we're all afraid of what we really want, what our real lives are. I'm not saying we're going to solve the world today. That's not what I'm saying. But my question is, how long will it take? When do you foresee when society is in a place that we're better, we're focused on ourselves and making sure that we're okay? Because when we're okay, we're better wives, we're better mothers, we're better sisters, we're better aunts, grandkids. Can I have a time frame? Because I need to know.
That's a big question.
I'll be 40 soon.
That's a huge question. I will say, so a time frame. I think part of it just starts with it's okay to not be okay. And then what do I need to work on becoming more of who I was meant to be? And like becoming more of a whole version of me or a better version of me. And like that's gonna, I think it's gonna be like lifelong, but it doesn't mean you have to stay in the same mess for your whole life, right? Because like we have our stuff, and like if this thing that happened to me when I was 12 affects me for the rest of my life in the same exact way as it did when I was 12, that's a problem. So it's like, how can I move forward so that it doesn't have as much power, right? I'm still going to be dealing with stuff. I'm still going to have stuff. I'm still going to be working on stuff. But it's like being able to grow up some in emotional maturity and deal with stuff so it doesn't have the same power and hurt over you so that you can continue to move forward. It's like it's hard to level up if you have an anchor holding you. So it's like cutting the strings, like the attachments we hold to our stuff. It is really hard, okay? So as a therapist who's in therapy, who's been in therapy.
That's pretty common though, isn't it?
Therapy.
Therapists who are in therapy.
Yeah. Oh, we tell our students all the time, you need to be in therapy. One, for your own stuff, but also like you're witnessing everybody's stuff. Some of it's tragic, some of it's sad. So you just need a space to like process that, and also process whatever's going on in your life. Yeah. So everybody, if you're doing this work, you need to be seeing someone at least.
And the work continues on.
Yeah, the work always continues. So I don't see it as like there's this one fateful day where everything will be exactly how it needs to be. Yeah. But if you're moving forward, like forward progress, I think that's good.
I like to hope that Beyonce has had that forward progress.
Yeah. You saw Coachella. I think she
didn't. I though she toured. Don't even.
Is making some.
I hope so. I hope Jay has really. It's Beyonce, so he better be. Them twins.
Like, get it together.
He better be up every night. Well, what am I talking about? They have nannies and
I was gonna say
maids and what am I talking about? He better be up every night.
They might be up we don't know.
We don't know. See. I wish we did.
Right now they're on the run too.
Ain't they? It's over now.
You're right. It's over.
Done. Yeah, no more on the run. I saw it.
Did you?
I did. Tennessee.
Okay.
It was good.
I heard it was beautiful.
It was amazing. The night was.
Everyone.
Anyway. Okay, so that wraps for Condo Conversation. This is a very important conversation, and so we'll probably have to have you back on, and we will talk more. Sure. And I feel like this is something that is beneficial to everybody. Just to hear a professional say it. I think that's going to get people's minds to be like, man, wow, interesting. Because that's what I want to do. I want to make sure that people are paying attention to themselves.
Yeah.
And they are getting the help that they need, but that they're living mentally healthy lives.
Right.
Because we're sick.
Yeah.
It's like America has the flu. Or pneumonia.
I won't say maybe more than the flu.
Yeah. We got polio.
Oh,
I shouldn't say that. 16 cities.
We
have a fever?
Yeah. we have some disease.
We have some diseases.
We got some disease.
Anyway, so how can people get in contact with you who might need that good help?
Sure. So if you want to reach out for therapy services, you can call me, 502-822-6293. You can send me an email at ahwhite, white like the color, lmft@gmail.com. If you just want some daily inspiration, I have an Instagram page, which is just ahwhitelmft. So yeah, phone, email, or Instagram, you can reach out and we can get connected. Yeah.
Dr. Ashley Ann White, Hicks White.
Yes, Hicks White.
Hicks White. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
I really appreciate it.
Great.
You almost had me in a tear moment, so I had to hurry up and switch the subjects because I'm about to be like, I put too much makeup on for today.
Oh, and it's gorgeous.
Oh my gosh, thank you. Bye. My husband's trying to hit the button. He's right on top of it.
I know.